crime and affection. Baristas mix caffeine with tales of deception. Lawyers joke and shadows plot their redemption. Case files like popcorn scatter on the floor. Jury's out in line, folks begging for more. Quirky loopholes twist through every door. Paparazzi flash for the courtroom encore. Legal shenanigans, theater, baby, where justice lasts. Crime and humor dance, baby, a curious path. Grab your ticket, honey, let the gavel smash. In the flood of laughter, see the road splash. Scoundrels with a smile.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for the little delay. I had some family stuff to do, and it was at a winery, so I'm not saying no to that. I say all family stuff must be done at a winery from now on.
That or like margarita bar, whiskey tasting thing.
Yeah, I asked if I had to stay with my own family. Apparently that was the whole point. I'm just kidding. It was actually nice to get together. Today we decided to do a bit of a palate cleanser because I don't know about Vale, but if I have to listen to Darrell Brookes speak one more again, I'm going to lose my mind. So he is a side character today. We are going to go over the state's opening. Now, we still get to see Darrell in the little bad boy room, you know. Hopefully putting his objection sign in his crotchular area because classy.
I mean, it's appropriate that he put his objection sign in his crotch. I mean,
I think everyone objects to him having a crotch, but
exactly.
This election season, don't vote on, left or right. Vote on Darrell becoming a eunuch.
Vote Mo. This message is brought to you by Mo in the Deep End.
Yeah, I did not.
By the Church of Mo, not a 501c corporation.
Yet, we have goals. I'm manifesting it into light. Is that how I'm supposed to do this? I don't know what manifesting is, although I also don't like sage all that much, so I'm hoping it doesn't involve that.
Well, I mean, you could just because I'm convinced that's not really sage that the Catholics burn in those little things, that it's actually weed. That's how they get everybody to stay there for so long. Because everyone just stoned.
No, as a recovering Catholic, you are in and out in 45 minutes. It's up, down, liturgy, communion, and you are out. Now, Baptist is where it's like, did Jesus tell you we were just not going to have lunch today? Like, did we wrap this up, Monsignor? I'm getting hangry right now. Is the Holy Spirit moving you to finish yet?
Yeah. Can I get another wafer, please?
Times like this where I'm glad. Yeah, my mom doesn't listen because she's like, you're not supposed to talk about religion. Those are bad. And, you don't want to trick anyone off. And I was like, yeah, it'll be what it'll be. But I also really want to commend, I know we have seen trials where the state are, ridiculous. Comment, when I was a youth leader for a Baptist church, we would tell the kids to show up a half an hour early so we could show up on time and get to our events.
Sounds about right.
Oh, sweet grass. Well, I'm pretty sure you're not talking about the same grass.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's not the same. The sweet grass and fun grass are two different grasses.
Dang it. But, we've seen a lot of trials where the state kind of does, terrible. And I will say genuinely that the state did a really good job with this. From how they structured things, from how they called witnesses and had adults, how they didn't bring the kids into this as much as they could help it. And I don't think we would have seen that type of restraint with maybe a Binger.
True.
In fact, I know we wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think it was a really, a very commendable way that they did this case because, every single person, all the attorneys have children, have family. And, I know I would be tempted to, go ham and bring, everything and maybe in my wrath not appreciated, picking the right witnesses so that it avoided trauma for other
Yeah.
people. So, they were probably very tempted to, slam dunk case, you have those kids go up and, they knew they could do that, but they also, thought enough about these victims and thought, okay, can we get the coaches up there? Can
Yeah.
we, the dads up there? Can we get that kind of thing up there? And we have to give props where the state does it well. And
Mhm.
also, I just couldn't listen to Darrell anymore. Just
Well,
couldn't.
there's that.
But it's
Mhm.
also, if this maybe wasn't a case that you got into, it's kind of he does a really good job summarizing, kind of giving the state's theory, and, really kind of making sense of a giant case that, had to be incredibly difficult to try to get all of those fun Diane, we do have bone steel. The man with no neck because it his or the thickest neck I have ever seen in my entire life.
Yes. Yes. No, they did a really good job. Like I usually don't like the state in most cases, but these guys did an excellent job of not getting off into the weeds. They actually didn't even get off into like digging in character evidence and stuff. Like they even left that stuff alone. I know there was the one time where this kid, uh, when there was an argument, the jury wasn't present,
Oh,
but
yeah.
there was some argument where he did make some smart ass comments about how Erica was like 16 or something. Like I remember that.
Yeah, well, he thought that that was his winning like, "Ask her how old she told me she was." "Well, sir, as I can say to everyone who's met Chris Hansen, it's
Yeah.
not how old she says she was, it's how old she really was."
Exactly. It's like, sir, we have the chat log right here.
And why are you always going to Subway? I mean, I don't is there a Jared affiliation where you get, like, a punch card for these creepos? But every single show, there was one guy like, "Got your foot long." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Got both your foot longs." Like,
Yeah.
"Sir."
It's yeah, no, it's yeah. That that show, as great as it was, there's lots of good channels on the old YouTube that cover that the stuff, which is hilarious to go back and watch in hindsight. Um
Yeah,
uh,
if ever I'm feeling really bad with what I'm doing with my life, I just have to check out the video with the guy that showed up nude the second time.
yeah.
I think it was, like, a week later, and he got caught in another sting, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
dang, you got me again."
And
Like,
then if I remember if it's the same guy that I'm thinking of, another week later, they caught him again. Like at a
"Sir."
McDonald's trying to like cuz they're like he was supposed to meet somebody at a McDonald's or
Oh,
whatever.
for
Yeah.
yeah, so let's get into this. It's not supposed to be very long, and then we can probably get I downloaded some other, witnesses. I am looking for the witnesses that have the death stare. I like them. Bone Steel, the Little League dad. If there's other, witnesses that you want to have brought up, we'll of course get to Daryl's opening and all of his insanity, but we all needed a little bit of a palate cleanser.
Yes. After listening to him for the last several weeks,
Yes.
we all needed a break.
Oh, look, he's in the bad boy
The
room.
event started off normal. There were dance teams, high school marching bands, local community groups, local businesses, all making their way down the parade route. The streets were lined with friends and family members and neighbors, people there to soak up the atmosphere. Kids ran into the street to grab candy from people who were throwing it from the parades. It sounds corny, but I think you'll see from the videos, there was a true sense of joy in the air. Darrell Brookes killed that joy. He replaced it with terror, trauma, and death. The evidence is going to show that Mr. Brookes left behind a trail of carnage and chaos as he made his way down.
That was a
Main
beautiful
Street
moment.
through the parade route. The evidence will show that he left that crime scene, created that crime scene, in fact, because he was fleeing from another one where he had laid his hands on a woman and where police involvement became inevitable. So as he careened down Main Street, swerving from curb to curb, hands glued to the steering wheel, eyes fixed on the road.
Stephen H., I am not sure. I'm sure that because of the amount of life sentences, it might be kicked to an automatic appeal.
Mhm.
Given what Judge Mommy, even in her wiffle waffling sort of, kind of discipline thing, I think she did enough to lay. I don't think we're going to find any appellate, issues. I think that the state went out of its way to make sure that they covered everything. I mean, even to the point of not playing the lyrics to Darrell's, oh gosh, it
His
wasn't
rap
What's the
song.
Business? Yeah, his rap song. So I think they played it safe. I doubt this is going to, I don't think the Innocence Project is going to be knocking on Mama Brooks's door, your son is innocent.
Yeah. So it looks like in June, he was supposed to have his appeal set in by June, and then July, he requested an extension. The extension was granted until August 30th, and I don't see anything after August 30th this year. So I'm assuming that something was going on, but I don't see anything else that's public at the moment, just as a cursory glance.
I'm muted. Yeah, so he did the opening, and I thought it was really. Look, I don't know Sue Opper from any case other than this. I know that she was, the DA, and then I think he was the woman who kind of smiled uncomfortably a lot was the assistant DA, and he might be like the one rung below that. But I mean, I think did a really good job delegating. I think she was looking at retiring after this case. So yeah, I think it was really cool to give him the experience of having a very high profile, kind of very complex case to open with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, then apparently that's Zach's first murder trial. There you go.
Oh, I just called him Trial Brows.
Yeah. Cause like I don't remember, like I think in total there was 76 counts against Darrell. In total there were 76.
Yeah.
Which has to be like not common at all in the slightest. I mean, like what was it? Chandler Halderson had 6, I think. No, 7 because of the lying to the police. He had 7, I think, in his unaliving trial. So yeah.
Yeah, so and I think he has a really good cadence. I think he makes this more into a story, and I like that from what I remember. I know you guys are going to be shocked. I don't watch the Darrell Brookes trial on repeat.
Oh, really? You don't? I mean, but Judge Mommy's
No.
voice is so soothing, and she tells you long, long stories.
Yeah, no, I get annoyed. I was one of those kids in school that always kind of got in trouble because I'm like, the teacher just got explaining that question that you just asked was just the thing that he just said. like, "Come on, Junior." I was like Billy Madison in my head, like, "What am I doing here? If people are this dumb, I don't know if I can live in society." Like,
Today,
"Today,
Junior.
Junior." Yeah.
I love that movie.
Me too. It's like, "Stay here for the love of God, stay here. Enjoy it, never grow up."
Yeah. And then, oh God, Chris Farley as the bus driver was classic.
Oh, I know. And then okay, so funny thing, my mom was like, "Are you dressed up for Halloween?" I guess she hasn't seen my hair since I put it and she's like, "Oh, I just assumed it was a Halloween costume." I was like, "I love you too, mom." I was like, "I know it's not your cup of tea. It's, but yes, this is in fact my real hair."
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where she was trying to be supportive and she's like, "Oh, you're dressed for Halloween." And I was like, "No, this is actually my real peopling outfit. My mask is scarier."
So my question, Mo, is I was admiring your eyebrows this week. So did you have your eyebrows on or no?
Oh, no, I didn't. Although, can I tell you, men of the chat, I don't know how y'all deal with stashes. I got one back with the eyebrows, and I have wanted a handlebar mustache since I was 7 because, life goals. But mostly because if I ever decided to become an evil villain, I could just curl it at the end. I don't know. I always thought that that was the height of evil villainy, to have my own handlebar mustache.
Yeah. It's I can say as somebody who has been able to grow a full beard since like 15 that like thing that drives me craziest about him is like you have to trim the upper lip. Like you got to keep on
Yes.
top of that because if not,
Because
it gets down in your mouth and yeah.
I was like, "Oh, no, I can't. No, no, I feel like I'm, like, just cat fur just everywhere." Like, I'm like,
Exactly.
"Oh, but it's attached and oh." So that lasted about all of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, Tammy, I had the bushy eyebrows. I am going to be working tomorrow on a skit of Judge Brows of Justice getting a letter from Sarah Boone and what may happen behind the scenes.
Oh Lord. Uh, which it was good to finally see that one kick off too.
Yeah,
Finally.
oh, that is, oh my gosh, the S show that is already.
Oh
I don't
God.
know your pain, Wolfram. I don't.
Uh,
But yeah, I was just like, "Oh, mustache. Oh, why can you? Oh, no." And obviously it was probably made for a more masculine face because I'm sure not many 7-year-old girls grow up to dream to have a handlebar mustache. But it is the year 2024, so we're growing out there, ladies. If you've always wanted a handlebar mustache, we have representation now.
uh,
But yeah, it was like I was like, "How do you even this is not happening."
yeah. Which I'm not sure. Old boy here on the screen, he could grow a mustache. I mean, I see a slight shadow there that's, I think, allegedly a mustache, or maybe he just drank a lot of coffee this morning. I'm not sure.
Look,
Um,
he's Doogie Lawyer. He's Doogie Lawyer, and, maybe they'll let him have a cool beard when he becomes a judge.
maybe if he can
You
grow one.
well, and as long as it's not one of those, okay, like, the one that, the guys and it's like a pencil thin, like, little almost early 90s eyebrow right
Oh
along
yes,
there. Okay, those just
yes.
too much time for me. That is like I can barely get winged eyeliner to look correct, so I have stopped doing it, but can you imagine trying to shaverize that stuff all in one straight line? That is never good.
It's too much effort, especially for somebody who can shave in the morning and it's like I see the shadow literally like at 5 o'clock that night. Um, it's way too much effort to keep on top of stuff like that. Like it really is.
Yeah, and I mean, can confirm that I think there have been 2 Bigfoot sightings just at the, Indy 500 with guys wearing tank tops, so I could imagine that trying to keep up with that if you grow a lot of excess body hair is just not easy.
Oh Lord.
Mom's gonna be like, "Why are you always dogging on Indiana?" Be like, "Have you lived here? We're trying to take over the world with high fructose corn syrup."
Oh, and PBR.
Yingling, I think, is an Indiana company. And thank you, Nick, for doing a raid. Let's get back to this.
In front of him with a silent rage on his face. He hit the gas with his red Ford Escape and used it as a battering ram over and over again, striking men, women, and kids.
Darrell's like, "What the business? What the business? I'm gonna come in with a good diss track soon. What the business?"
Well, hold on. What the business is he referring to his future Sally business, who's right down the road?
No, I have figured out who I want him to be locked up with, though. And of course, this is
okay.
one of those things where I, think in depth, and at about 3 a.m. after I'm doing the hysterical, like genius level Rain Man level math, like I can, if I fall asleep right now, I have 3 hours, 32 seconds, and 1 plank time before I have to wake up. Now, somehow I can become a math genius at 3 a.m. when trying to calculate how much more time I will not sleep. But I also come up with the most diabolical things that are still legal-ish within the Geneva Convention. Now, of all of our, let's say, stars on, who wants to be your, cell roomie, I have decided that Joel Guy Jr. and Darrell Brookes should be together, because Joel wants nothing more than to not be talked at. Darrell wants nothing more than to be listened to, and it would be a living hell for both of them.
But you have the off chance, because Joel Guy found that one person in the world that he in his brain was best friends with. You have the off chance that Darrell Brookes and Joel Guy will become best friends. You have that off
True.
chance, which would still be hilarious, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it's always, one of those things where I'm like, why am I thinking about this at 3? And my brain's like, yes, but have you also thought why they haven't rebooted Captain Planet, when honestly that is the most, for modern audience cartoons that was from your early childhood, yet they continue to take the Goonies and things you like?
Yeah. 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 I'm trying to think of like who we could make a third in this proposed Selly situation.
Chandler Halderson.
Who would be the bun? I mean, obviously Joel Guy is he's one of the buns for sure. Who's the meat in this situation?
None of
Chandler
them.
or Darrell?
They're all useless or useful as tits on a bull. So I say we just make it a Hunger Games thing. See, yeah, then 3 a.m. me's like, Geneva Convention.
Yeah. I mean, if we were just going to throw them all in just the bull ring here, Hunger Games style, then we can throw Shabusiness can be Katniss. And
yeah.
I mean, I am going to kind of put my money on Shabusiness if I'm being honest.
Let Shabusiness be attracted to one of them. They are out faster than... No, watch her be attracted to Darrell. Darrell thinks it's a compliment, doesn't realize she's a Black Widow.
And then Chandler just gets abused.
Chandler's over here trying to do a pretend job. Like, I'm totally playing, Hunger Games. I made like a couple Proton Mail accounts. Totally did this. Cat's still like, He's doing college. We're gonna move down to Florida.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh,
mm.
In the end, Mr. Brookes killed 6 people. He injured dozens more and left a permanent scar on this community. We are going to present evidence to you over the next several days in chronological phases, in order of events, from start to end. I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to lay out for you the table of contents to this story. We're going to set the scene with Sergeant Dave Warner from the City of Waukesha Police Department. Sergeant Warner was the highest ranking police official working at the parade that day. He was the incident commander for the Waukesha Christmas.
okay. We have to address this. Judge Mommy went and got her blow up, her roots did, her eyebrows, shellacked. Then she decided to wear the world's giantest glasses that looked like they were straight out of the Golden Girls.
Yeah. I mean, like, all right. At some juncture, we have to accept that, like, styles that were cool like 30, 40, 50 years ago aren't cool anymore. Because big glasses were cool, like, in the early 80s, the mid 80s.
Yeah.
And, like, they're just not cool anymore. I'm sorry, as somebody who's
She
been
still
wearing
has her
glasses
swatch.
Yeah. Like, I've worn glasses since I was like 3. Okay. I know a thing or two
Yeah.
about terrible fashion with glasses. As someone who used to, because it was what was readily available, anybody who has been around the military knows what BC glasses are. I had some of
Oh, yeah.
those while I was a young lad. So yeah, big glasses are not as cool as you think they are. And I don't care how many Kardashians wear them or whatever. It's stupid.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just, and it is, she's got even her robe, cut a little lower. She wears it a little looser so you can see, like, when she has a nice necklace on. So, ma'am, I see you. I can imagine that having to deal with Darrell Brookes was a pain in the behind. So if you went out and you got your, hair did and all that stuff, but could you have told an MFer no once in a while? Like, could you have pulled out the, where, and you've seen this when you're at restaurants, and I have unfortunately done this. This is a power bestowed upon you when you have a child. You can get this voice where you don't move your mouth, and you are like,
Mm.
"You will behave right now, because I swear to God, if I have to show my ass off in this store because you are we are going to have words." And then the waiter, "Oh, our onion blossom is here. Thank you so much." Kid over here, like, snoring, like,
Yes. Yes.
what?
Mothers have that uncanny ability to do that. And it just seems to be like just moms. Dads can't do that. Just moms can. I don't know what it is.
I think kids are more scared of their moms because, like, dad is like, "Okay, let's be a little logical about this. All right, come on, go to your room. Like, look, you're upsetting me. I'd rather you go to your room." Your mom is like, "Oh, hell no. I birthed you, I nursed you, I helped you, I changed your diapers, and you want to pull what with me now?"
Yeah. Because it's always, well, at least was with me, and I've only ever heard women say it, is moms always will go to the "I brought you into this world, I will take you out."
Yes.
You've never heard a dad say anything like that. It's always the mom.
Pretty much. Then dad's like, "Would you just," the dad is probably like, "Son, your mom only becomes in a good mood with me like once when Mercury is in retrograde every 9 years. It's like a flippin' leap day. And this is the one day you decide to show your behind." Like, the one time my wife was like, "I hope you get home soon, honey. I got something hot baking in the oven and somewhere else." And dad's like, "God dang it," because then he comes home and is like, "Mom's lost her damn mind." That's the only time that you know, my
Dad gets angry.
stepdad would get really upset. I didn't realize the connotation beforehand, but now being a parent, I kind of do. He'd been working, like mom all flirty all day. He comes home, mom's lost her mind because maybe she found out my brother just wasn't attending classes for anything.
Yeah.
Darn children.
Oh dear.
this parade. And we are going to, with Sergeant Warner's help, take you through this, which is the first of 3
Holy
maps
crap,
that we will
technology
refer
that
to
works.
repeatedly throughout this trial. This map depicts the area that we're going to be talking about over the next couple of days, the parade route. Now, for those of you not entirely familiar with...
So we did kind of get far afield, but just the forethought that went into this, because, for those of us who get into this case, and I kind of experienced this with my mom today. So she's like, so you're, doing Delphi. It's really hard when you have been so immersed in a case to kind of take a step back and simplify it for someone who may just be walking into it. So to have the foresight that this is going to be, probably all the lawyers sitting in the table, they could say victim ZZ or KK, and they know exactly who they're talking about. But to have the foresight that this is going to need, very logically figured out kind of demonstratives, that would be something that wouldn't occur to me from the get-go. So I think having that blend of experience and, maybe I'm going to say baby brows, maybe was able to bring it into, we could do a digital overlay of this, that, and the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I see Tammy actually just brought up what I was going to say, because we actually experienced that this week.
Oh my
because
sweet
there was the whole argument.
Jeebus.
And I was
Right.
confused at first because I was like, why are they even arguing this? I'm like, everybody's allowed to use demonstrables or whatever, but like apparently it had to do with like pictures of dogs and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay,
Well,
I kind of
so
understand now.
the whole ruling is that they weren't allowed to bring, so until basically Sarah testifies, they can't bring anything about battered spouse syndrome in. So they can't attack George's character. They can't bring in past things. And he wanted to put up, now an opening statement, he was allowed to bring up the theory and that kind of thing, but he was trying to bring in pictures of, Sarah having maybe a black eye or a swollen, area or other injuries from past, DV and stuff like that.
Yeah. Swollen face, swollen area is a little too...
Well, and he also wanted to, start telling them about reasonable doubt, which you can have demonstratives and go very into the reasonable doubt, like the Zimmerman case did. You can do that at the end. You're not supposed to start with that.
Yes, exactly. But
yeah.
There's the whole
Case is
thing
such a
about
S show.
the whole thing about the whole battered wife, woman, whatever thing is like, the only issue that I take with it is that on the defense table there's a big book that says the battered woman syndrome on the defense's table. Like,
I have never seen a more ill-conceived strategy. Owens wanted to play the Flagibin video. He's like, we're going to show the 2-minute video. I was like, you're working for the defense, aren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see maybe trying to get ahead of it, but why would you introduce this? Seems like the dumbest of dumbtard moves, but okay. I
didn't understand, but I was like, this was what I was thinking of, like when I see like this, and then like to be fair, the defense and the prosecution in the Chandler Halderson one was amazing until the very end where they put Bart and Krista into pieces as a puzzle in their PowerPoint. Um,
Why? Like,
but
why?
yeah, but it's like everybody uses demonstrables, but it's like I guess when I think of demonstrables, this is what I think of. I don't think
Yeah,
of like, oh, we're gonna like present our case because that's almost what it seemed like he was trying to do. It's like, but you can't do that yet. But I was also surprised that the prosecution, um, kind of, I thought got a little over their skis in their in their opening this week. Uh, but
yeah.
yeah,
I think honestly, why are we even having this trial? Why is this woman incapable of taking a plea deal and keeping us from suffering the stupidity of Owens?
yeah,
Did they get their law degrees from TIMU? Because the all 3 attorneys stink. The Owens stink, the guy from Technical Difficulties stinks, and then
yeah,
the one who tried to be really mean to that sweet little crime scene investigator who was like, "Well, I just take the pictures." "Oh, so you didn't test the fabrics, I see." "No, we didn't. I collected it. I don't really, collaborate or decide what tests are going to be run." "Oh, I see. So you didn't even think that, you should test for DNA."
like
Again, I
no,
just collect things.
that's not my job, sir. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I was
it's
like, you can be aggressive with certain witnesses. Certain witnesses you can tell are lying out their behinds or are going to be argumentative or dismissive. If you wanna look at, an attorney actually being aggressive correctly, or I guess just assertive with a very, arrogant and douche canoey, subject, look at the Anthony Tott trial when
oh
he
yeah.
finally gets crossed by the female attorney, and you can tell that he has enormous like contempt for her, but she is able to be assertive to ask him pointed questions
Yes,
and still not seem like an epic, mega thunder cow because it
yes,
is it is being pointed towards someone who is showing her disrespect, but also, you know, it, it is also her job to get certain questions or answers kind of in there.
correct. Yeah. Yeah, like even I'll never forget because I learned about the talk thing through dreading,
Oh
and I
yeah.
remember the first time I listened to one of his things, and it's when she objects to something that the defense was asking or something, I don't remember, and he pauses it and he's like, "If you've ever wanted to see what it looks like when a man wants to hit a woman, this is
Yes.
this is the look of on his face," and it's like he's not wrong. That is what it
No.
looks like.
It does. And so when yeah, we've kind of gotten a little far afield as we always do, but these are the kind of demonstratives that I think it really helps having that experience and maybe
Yes.
that younger, the blend of the younger generation kind of coming up, try to attain those kind of positions, but
Mhm.
also working with, attorneys who can say, okay, if we can make it like this, if we can, we need to be able to easily break these things down.
Yeah.
That's you can definitely tell that there was a mix of new and then also just kind of old fashioned stuff. And I really thought it was interesting.
Yeah. And something like this where you do have like 76 counts, it's like having something like this where like all everything is kind of labeled. It helps put it all together. Like cuz I can't tell you how many trials as of recently have gone over things that it does have a lot of counts or whatever, that it's very hard to keep track of things. And something like this, it's very well organized and put together where it's
Yeah.
easy for a jury to understand what it is you're talking about, especially since they allegedly have little to no information about what it is that's going on anyway, right?
Yeah.
Or supposed to, that it's easy
Well,
for
in
somebody to follow
theory.
along. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I understand that it was going to be hard in this case, at least.
Well, yeah,
But
but, they probably didn't this is not a case that people want. I mean, there's going to be the true crimers that maybe like to dig into every case, but I know this one gave me pause just with how much human
yeah,
suffering there was gonna be, and did I want to deal with that? And, some people can deal with that, compartmentalize, and it doesn't, go on to affect their real life. But
yeah,
for me, it's kind of hard to separate it, especially on like where there's kids involved or grannies.
yeah,
It's really hard to, you know, get that kind of divorce, that at least for me.
yeah, exactly.
Darrell in the background waiting for his intro.
Downtown Waukesha, this is going to look like a bunch of gibberish, but once we get going and we repeatedly refer to these street names and the business names and the groups that were involved in this,
I would have given my
I
entire
think it'll
life
become
savings
like a
if
second
Darrell
nature.
was like, I've been there before. I've been there too. Were y'all following me? I see you were trying to railroad me. How you knew where my location was?
It's almost as if I left like a trail or something.
Yeah. Y'all just trying to take disparate information, make it even look like I know I've been through this before. Oh, also, Vale, I had my life changed last week.
Oh
Some
no.
very kind person corrected me. It is Carp, not Kurt. Now, he will always be Kurt in my heart, but apparently his last name is Carp
Maybe
or
his first name
Carpenter.
is Kurt.
His first
Carpenter.
name is Jay. So I was like, well, he'll always be Kurt in my heart.
Yes, we'll go with Kurt Carpenter. Jay is his middle name.
He was the other brother from the Carpenters. They didn't talk about him much. He went into law.
Yeah. Oh.
Sergeant Warner will describe for you how the parade route ran from, if you look closely at the screens in front of you, the intersection of Main Street and White Rock Avenue. White Rock was a staging area.
Daryl's like,
the
I gotta
parade groups and
investigate
floats.
these exhibits.
And they made their way southeast on White Rock until they came to Main Street, and then they would make a right turn and head southeast down Main Street through the parade route until the very end as it wraps around to the south and runs into Wisconsin Avenue. The parade route then would continue to the east, making a left-hand turn on Wisconsin, but nothing really happens on Wisconsin Avenue. You're not going to hear any testimony about that. As you can see from this map, it depicts or represents each intersection where a squad car or a police officer was stationed. They're denoted by the little badge shields in the intersections. If you look closely, you can see little red lines, and Sergeant Warner will describe how those represent the barricades that were placed at each intersection for security and safety purposes. Once we've got that established, we're going to move into the first chapter of this story, and you're going to hear about the origin
Oh, Darryl
of
needs a
Mr. Brooks'
pen.
rage that day.
Someone
A
give him a
violent
crate.
domestic
I was gonna say,
argument
crayons?
with Erica Patterson, his former girlfriend and the mother of his child. Erica Patterson is going to testify either today or tomorrow, hopefully today. She's going to tell you that in November of 2021, she was staying at the Women's Center, which is a shelter here in Waukesha. And on the day in question, November 21st of 2021, the defendant showed up in Waukesha in his red Ford Escape that she knew he drove, and he argued with her, and he harassed her, and he punched her in the face.
Did we ever
The
get
thing about
a ID on what the hell is scribbled over his eyebrow?
I'm not sure that I can say that.
Oh.
Oh, maybe somebody drew something on his face above his eyebrow with a Sharpie.
It just, I am not y'all's mom, so I'm not going to tell you what to do, but nothing says Harvard grad like a neck tattoo and an eyebrow tat.
Yeah. Yeah. I share much the same opinion, honestly. No
Yeah,
offense to
it's
anybody if you have one, but yeah.
no, if you rock it and you like it, look, my mom already thought my, Skittles hair meant I was in full Halloween regalia, so that would have gone over a treat in my house.
Yes. Yes. And to my surprise, I thought my mom was going to be the one who was going to freak out when I showed up with a tattoo, and my mom was just like, whatever. And my dad was the one apparently who was tripping about it. And he's like, "Are you sure you want that on your arm forever?" I'm like, well, isn't it a little late to make that decision?
Vale was like, "Yes, I won't show you my, like, dolphin jumping over a moon on my back either." It's gonna be all painful. Oh my gosh. If I had $20 for every chick who went to spring break and came back with a dolphin over her behind, which I guess it is a dolphin jumping over the moon, so there you go.
I thought it was at Target.
I'd have at least $600. And now I can't get tattoos, so, eh.
Uh, dear Lord, I don't even know how to respond to that.
Well, I was thinking, so 20 persons, it was a rural Indiana school, so what does every girl when they go to Daytona, they came back with a butterfly,
Yeah.
a piercing, or a dolphin.
Yeah.
And they're like, "But these are really unique to me." And I'm like,
Are they?
"Tiffany F has one too. That is her butterfly. I don't understand why you can't just be supportive of my individuality." This is when I knew that I was a more dude-ish chick, because I was like, "Was I supposed to have feelings about all of these things?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, I honestly just was kind of, was this another inside thought that I wasn't supposed to point out weird, absurd things that I thought everyone else noticed?
Yes, that's exactly what they are. But in Indiana, apparently they're dolphins.
It is I'm telling you, of a certain age, you go back in some high school yearbooks, that and, we were quite prolific. I don't know if you had these in your time, but the Playboy Bunny, tanning booth, little sticker,
Yes.
I mean, it was not a Saturday night if you didn't have, a, bunny, like, less burnt patch of your skin.
Yes. I remember that phase of the world where like people were putting stickers or whatever it was and then going like into a tanning booth or whatever and then coming away with like it's like, is this like the cheap way to get a tattoo, I suppose? Like, because you're not totally committed, you're only committed for a short time.
Yeah, so if you're new to this channel, I am not always an avatar. You will see me on the screen. Now, I want you to imagine young, attempting to fit in Mo going into the tanning booth and having the girl who looks like she has never spent more than an hour outside a tanning booth say, I don't even know if we have a bed that's low enough for you." And I was like, "Well, I have a couple questions before we start this whole negotiation process anyway. Can I bring my own Lysol wipes? I've heard tell that people are nude on these things." Ew. And she's like, "Well, you don't want tan lines for your swimsuit." Then I
Yeah.
am laying on a microwave oven where everyone else's crusty behind has been on there and they're sweating and their feet are on there too. What? Yeah, I never got into tanning.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, "So I am in the mingled butt juice of the entire town. I'm out."
With a bunny
And she's like,
sticker.
"We wipe these down." I was like, "Ma'am, can you still see outside? You look you look tanned with it. Your eyeballs are tanned, okay? Can you see when you're wiping things down? Yeah.
Yeah, it's the aughts were a pretty funny time for that, where it seemed like everybody was like fake tanning and all that stuff. Like it was a really, and then of course then everyone started deciding that like tanning beds were like not the thing anymore, and they started introducing all the spray on stuff, which is hilarious too. So yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, I never got into that stuff. First of all, when she said, like, I don't know that we have a weak bed, like maybe you could stand in the room and leave this tanning bed real wide open. And I'm
We're
like,
just gonna
so
put a 40-watt bulb in the room for you, Mo.
yeah. And then like they're like, or you could spend, a bajillion dollars because the spray things were new then,
Yeah.
and we can spray you, but most people do those nude too. And I'm like, I don't even know you. We haven't even gone to IHOP together. Like, I'm not sure I'm ready for a committed relationship with another chick who's going to spray me while nude. So I'm going to walk out. And I just realized phrasing. But that might have been why she gave me that look when I walked out, too.
Oh Jesus.
I had to explain to my mom because you know me, and my phraseology is only maybe understood by, fellow alien children like me. So she's like, "You keep calling yourself my alien child. What do you mean?" And I said, "You've had a bunch of us, and possibly, I'm not really athletic. I don't really, like to be involved in things. So I was the most diametrically opposed to your kind of natural personality. That's what I mean." And she's like, "Well, why didn't you just say that?" I was like, "Because alien child is kind of the other thing I was hoping for. Like I kind of hoped ET had left me. And, like you would suddenly realize, I mean, they'd be really sorry that they took your toddler, but, eventually we would find out why I don't fit in. And, I'd phone home and you'd get your real kid back, that kind of thing." And she's like, "You've thought about this a lot." And I was like, "What else do you do at 3 a.m.?"
Yeah, not wrong.
And she's like, "Well, see, that is something I would not speculate about." And I said, "See, I am your alien child. You have done proved my point, mother."
You're proving
But
all the theories.
yeah, but that was just my term for it. You're going to have the kid that's going to be maybe more like you, and the kid that you're like, okay, why is it you want to go outside and do sports? There is neither an alien or zombie apocalypse, and there are people outside,
Yeah.
you know. So I have that child too, where I I support it because I know it feeds her, but I don't understand it. Like it never in my, wildest dreams would, you know, joining any sport be something I would do for fun. Unless it was American Gladiators, bring that back. I would like to be Mozone, and I will, man the tennis ball cannons
Yes. And
from a high.
yes. Mozone, we could maybe Mitro.
I'll even
think
take
so.
Momzilla.
Oh.
Momthra. I'm willing to, take the Monsterverse into consideration.
Oh God. I was gonna say Ming Mong, but that sounds terrible.
Be offensive on so many levels. I really am working on getting so I actually do have a planner, and I bought it and I'm filling it out this time, which is, another adulting step for me. Uh but it's all about really good time management and, for people that are maybe time blind or ADHD or just distracted by shiny things. So hopefully I should be a more functional Hammy the squirrel from Over the Hedge one day.
That's the goal.
It is a goal.
About a swollen eye is it's tough to fake.
Oh, he's trying to object
You're going to hear evidence
for his
about
little
how
sign.
after.
And I love
well,
how we have just gotten done with 3 hours, 3 episodes of this man. I didn't lay hands on her.
Yeah.
I gave her a hug, but I was like, "You're not getting any of this Darrell and a bag of chips today. You know, we aren't supposed to be like that." You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't quite look like a hug.
Yeah, but I mean, it is even more offensive when there was evidence and he spent, you know, almost 4.5 hours, claiming it is Erica. She is crazy. She's just trying to get me, catch a case, that kind of thing. It's utterly infuriating. I hate that word. It pisses me off. Just the
Yeah.
audacity that, he went through this whole thing. And I think that's the thing that really strikes a nerve about him and then Sarah. It is this inability to take any sort of self-reflection, even for the smallest bit of this,
Yeah.
and looking around for like for the real suspect.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's there. I don't understand how you can be so devoid of reality, I guess. Like I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
don't understand how people can
it
be
is.
like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that makes these we want evil to have a reason. I mean, we want it to have a reason, to have a logic behind it because we want to be able to avoid it. We want it to have a big shiny, flag. I contend Darrell was in regular everyday clothing, but not to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, we want there to be a reason, a why behind this. And the sad thing is that neither Darrell nor Sarah operate on a level where it's going to be anything but I was mad.
Yeah.
And that is beyond frustrating for the loss of lives.
Yeah. No, you're
I
right.
was inconvenienced, I was mad, and I had a temper tantrum. And this time, instead of knocking over Jenga, I knocked over people.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. It's people like this Darrell, Sarah, Chandler. I mean, it's hard to put yourself in people's position like that. That like it's impossible to understand.
Back up. You're going to hear evidence.
But yeah, I don't know. Don't make a lot of sense.
Sorry. Was
Nope,
like,
you're good.
no, I'll be quiet. I'll stay in here. I was like, sir, like Darrell, you and Quiet have never even been in the same zip code or time zone. You lack the ability.
Yes.
You don't have a base reference. This is the guy who, in Waukesha, Kevin
Yeah,
Sheely.
Waukesha.
Now, I
Yeah.
know there was another couple parade things. I don't think they have been like this. I think they have been, unfortunately, impaired drivers. Not so much that it looked like it was completely unrelated, but like they weren't paying attention is what it more looked like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this was Waukesha 21, was it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it was a Christmas parade.
It's about how the defendant took Erica Patterson all over town that afternoon, from Frame Park, across the river, up Barstow Hill, back down to Frame Park. And at some point, after she was struck, after she sustained that injury, Erica called her friends because she needed help. And she had no one else to call. One of those friends is Corey Runkle. You're going to hear from Corey on the witness stand in this trial. Corey's going to say that she was Erica.
Now every time I hear Runkle, I expect to see, like, this glorious gray hair on the stand, but Corey Runkle does not look like Runkle of the Bailey.
No. No. Yeah.
Erica's roommate at the Women's Center. She had known Erica for a few weeks and they had grown close. And when she got the call from Erica that Erica needed help, Corey immediately responded to help. And she ended up finding Erica and Darrell Brookes in front of the White Rock School. If we go back, the White Rock School is on White Rock Avenue. It's on near the top right portion of the map. It's just south of Frame Park. And Corey is going to talk about how she found Erica and the defendant at this location, and she got into both a physical and a verbal altercation with Mr. Brookes. That altercation is captured on surveillance video, 2 surveillance videos actually. You're going to see both of them.
Ooh, did he just do the heavy metal too? We're going to have to baconate that.
Video, 2 surveillance videos actually. You're going to see both.
Yes, he did.
Give him the
You're going to
horns.
see how the defendant was reacting that day. You're going to see what he looked like, what he was wearing, the red Ford Escape that he was driving. You're going to
This isn't really about the parade. This is about heavy metal versus rap. He's like, I'll see you DMs or Run DMC, and I'll raise you ACDC.
Yeah.
You listen to Thunderstruck, you don't get thunderstruck. Well, then that's a you problem. Till CrossFit had to ruin it, and then they made it about burpees, and I'm like, who the hell and what kind of sadist did this?
Yeah. Oh.
You're going to see how the defendant reacted once Erica's friends showed up and he lost his physical advantage over a woman. Erica and Corey will also testify that at some point during this scuffle, the police were called. And you're going to see a separate video, squad video, from the responding officer that shows just down the block, there was a marked squad car with its lights flashing, marking the entrance to the parade. Something that people in front of White Rock School would have seen. So the evidence is going to show that the defendant must have known once things got loud and once there was more than just him and Erica on scene, the police were going to show up. So he took the coward's way out. You're going to see him in the video get into the driver's seat of that red SUV. Corey and Erica will tell you that no one else was in the car. And you're going to see him pull off on White Rock towards Main Street. You're going to hear from law enforcement officers who were positioned along the parade route. The officers who made their initial contact with the defendant, the first ones who tried to stop him. And the first one is Detective Tom Casey, the lead detective in this case. He's sitting at the state's prosecution table right behind me. He's going to tell you that he was working that day as security for the parade. He was working at Main and White Rock. He's the first law enforcement officer to come into contact with the defendant during this incident, face to face.
Now, I do like how Darrell was like, how is he going to sit there with the prosecutors? He's the lead detective, Darrell. It's just not, it's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, where are you, the state of Wisconsin?
Has the state of Wisconsin shown up yet? Why no enterprising S poster, but probably for better reasons. Maybe they could have made a skit, cheese hat, flannel, both
Green Bay
a flannel
Packer
suit,
flip-flops.
Green Bay Packers flip-flops. Just, go full and say, I am the third party intervener and representative, all rights reserved to the state of Wisconsin. Darrell, feel free to meet me.
Yeah, it's wild. In the case of old Milwaukee's best.
Yeah, just, possibly with, this might be more of an Indiana thing, but if chewing tobacco is a big thing up there, then with an empty, Dr. Pepper bottle somewhere
Yeah.
in the Copenhagen, because
Yes.
Midwest.
Yeah. For sure.
I think better describe it as face to windshield. He tried to stop the defendant, but there's only so much a man can do against an SUV. But he's going to tell you that he got so close, he got such a good look at Darrell Brookes' face that from that witness stand, he'll be able to say to you definitively, Darrell Brookes, the man in orange on the video screen, is the man who was driving the red SUV in this case. You're going to hear from a few more officers. Officer Bryce Buttrin, Officer Sonia Schneider. They were positioned at the intersection of Main Street and East Avenue, just a little bit further southwest.
Now, I don't know why we didn't ever get to hear from Polly from Jersey Shore, but I was kind of hoping one day we were going to see a full-on Jersey Shore throwdown. Darrell just looked at him wrong one too many agains, and he was going to launch. And sadly, we never got it.
Yes. And whenever I hear that word combination of Polly from Jersey Shore, I always think of Polly Shore, which would be, I think, even funnier, actually.
Oh my gosh. That would be funny. Is he still alive?
I don't know.
I know we
think
lost
so.
Pee-wee, but I was never allowed to watch Pee-wee after, I saw, or my mom found out what he watched on his own theater time. So
was he watching really? Or was he participating?
I don't know. Why would you go to a theater to watch that? I mean, I understand you had to deal with Betamax or, VHS, but still the comfort of your own home you would think would be, I mean, I don't think they give out popcorn at those theaters. Like, God, I hope they don't.
I mean,
Now that I think about it.
They give out butter, but it's for a whole different reason.
Oh, those seats. Those seats. I mean, I have an issue with tanning beds. No, I would go in a full hazmat suit. Like, oh, we're switching this theater from an adult one to a regular one. Are you burning it to the ground?
Yes.
That's all. Like, and they're like, no, we're going to change the seats and stuff. And I'd be like, no. This is not happening.
It needs to be like completely burned to the ground.
Yeah. There is no decontaminating that.
No, there's not. No. I mean, because the first time, right? This is gonna be gross. So the first time they open this new theater and you step in something sticky. I mean,
yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
I love that we started talking about Jersey Shores and then we ended up with, those other theaters just cannot be rehabilitated.
Somehow.
It's like that guy from Jurassic Park. Life finds a way.
And it all started with Darrell Brookes.
Yes.
In that map. You're going to hear them describe how they saw this red SUV approaching. They quickly realized it was not part of the parade. They quickly realized this was a problem. There are people, children in the street, lining the street. And so they jumped into action. They tried to stop it. As the SUV started barreling towards them, Officer Buttrin, again, tried to get in the way. He put himself at risk trying to get in front of the vehicle. Couldn't stop it. Officer Schneider tried to redirect the vehicle up Buckley Street, making a right-hand turn. She'll tell you, and you'll see in the video, there was room. There was space. couldn't do it. The defendant blew past her. And that's when the screams in the police radio start. You're going to hear from Jim Hawkinson, the battalion chief for the Waukesha Fire Department. He's going to tell you about the massive scope of the emergency response to this tragedy.
Can't they be both?
He was in charge of the fire department that day. He's going to tell you about all of the units that had to respond to the scene, the massive amount of resources needed to triage and treat and transport all the victims. He's going to tell you about the response from other communities in Southeast Wisconsin, the mutual aid call that went out, and all the other communities that came to help out. He's going to tell you about how Waukesha Memorial Hospital, just up the hill from the parade route, quickly reached capacity. And so everybody had to be diverted to other medical facilities.
And I want to remind you, because this was something I didn't find out until I was kind of going through a lot of things that weren't published until after the trial. So they published the 911 calls, and they are just upsetting. But what one person who had gone through all the 911 calls found was that old Mama Brooks was calling around the time that everyone started to file in from the parade, all the injuries, all the things. Maybe news footage came in. I need to get in touch with, my son Darrell. So she's calling 911, and they're like, "Ma'am, you have left a message. We are trying to triage." "Yeah, but he has my car, and I think he's hurt. I think he's hurt. I need, to find him."
Yeah.
And just the apple does not fall far from the, psychopathic, can't figure out that there might be something more important than little, Darrell going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw this. So the trial itself, the next comment here actually, this explains a lot of the trial actually, where the ME actually cried over the autopsy.
Yeah.
And the judge was insufferable through the majority of this trial. Like this trial, I don't
Yeah.
remember how many weeks this thing went on for. It went on for that long because of the judge. Like it should not have
Yeah.
taken as long as it did. But yeah, like it was a difficult one to watch. But if you want to see a prosecution team that follows like the letter of the law and
Yes.
does a superb job of not doing anything shady at all, this is the one to watch. Fast forward through the judge, but
Yeah.
this
She will.
is the thing to watch.
Yeah. If you've heard her, rule 90310 once, you can just fast forward through her recitation of it. And I get that she's probably never dealt with a trial, maybe a defendant like Darrell.
Yeah.
But she probably has dealt with difficult people, and I don't know if it was the fear that it was going to be, a very widely streamed case, or, her really wanting to make sure this was unappealable, but she let him run that courtroom.
Yep.
And it was one of the most infuriating things because every time, these family members, it was not a bench trial, it was a jury trial.
Yep.
And welcome, Lisa, and welcome to everyone. I know I kind of came in rushing in, so generally I say hi to everyone, but I was like hauling behind, so not quite as on top of it, but I do appreciate everyone hanging around for our, occasional touches on the stream at hand and general detours for everything else.
Yes, we do that a lot. And it's fun. And you guys usually come
Yeah.
along with us, so it's good.
So, yeah, she did a lot of things to cater to him to make sure that it was not going to be an appeal issue, but, the problem is that Darrell is one that does not respond to gentle parenting.
Yeah. Well, and he completely lacks respect for anyone of the female gender at all. So
Yeah.
having a female judge, I don't want to say it was
Ew.
a poor choice, but yeah.
I think I think this particular female judge, I think if you had put it, Judge Manning or, there's a couple other really no nonsense female judges,
Oh yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
think her particular style was too permissive, and
yeah.
with Darrell, you have to set right from the beginning, like, you will not disrespect the court, you will do not disrespect the jurors, you will not disrespect the public.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Okay, do you want your 87th chance to be a good boy? You you think you can come out from the bad boy room? Okay, I'll make everyone stand up, leave for 15 minutes, come back in." And then he shows his behind again, and then it's another 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and she did drag her feet in that the Visine and the drink case. I can't remember, Jesse
Oh,
something. She drug her feet in that too, where
some
it
people
went kind of on
yeah,
and on and on. But
some judges I have learned really like to talk, really like to hear themselves talk, and then, I will say if you are looking at possibly following a new trial, the judge on Sarah Boone,
yeah,
very, very good. You know, not aggressive, but knows his stuff, very decisive, but has the, case law and stuff to back it up, but doesn't take any junk and
yeah,
calls both the state and the defense out when he feels like they're getting over the line.
yes, and I think he's also doing an extraordinary job because of all the complaints and letters and stuff that Sarah has written. He's also doing an extraordinary job of preserving the record, but doing it in such a way that is efficient and does not get in the way of delay. Like, recognizes her every morning, says what she's wearing so everybody can be on the record for that. Then at the end of the day, I don't know if you noticed this, at the end of the day yesterday, he asked her, "Are you happy with the job your attorneys are doing?"
Yeah, and I think that he's just closing that loophole because the very first thing
Exactly.
she will argue will be ineffective,
Correct.
assistance of counsel.
Yep. But he's doing it in such a way to
Yeah.
preserve the record, but doing it in an efficient way, unlike this
Well,
lady who extended the
efficient,
trial.
and he understands Sarah's mentality because the way he's asking it is as if she is the manager of her, defense team. Like,
Yeah.
"Are you good? Are you good with how these people are, working for you?"
Yep.
And I think he could ask it a couple of other ways that she wouldn't respond well to, so I think he's very intelligent in what kind of human behavior, which I guess, as a judge, you would probably get some insight. So he knows that she looks happy as a pig in poo every time he asks her because she's like, "Yes, I am the manager.
Yes.
They are doing exactly what I say."
Yes.
Because so he's stoking her ego, and she is so without any sort of, you know, um, ability to read the room that
Mhm.
it is so hilarious to watch Sarah think she's winning and him just, correcting or protecting the appeal thing. It is the wildest damn thing to think she's like, "Yes."
Yes, it's funny to watch, but but it's also because we have been watching this and I knew I was anticipating that we were going to be getting into this whole thing where we're going to start watching bits and pieces of this trial. It's refreshing to see a judge being able to do what he's supposed to do and preserving the record and doing so with complete deference to her as well, but doing it in such a way that it's not wasting time. Like, that is
Yeah.
refreshing to see, as somebody who is taking ownership of their courtroom and who is running it in an efficient and effective way. People of Florida, whoever lives in that county, y'all are getting your money's worth with this dude because he's running his crap the way he should. Like, I don't know about
Yeah.
anybody else, but that guy, he's running his courtroom the way that he should.
Yeah. It is interesting because I probably couldn't watch another Judge Schrader trial. He just meanders and yammers, and that's great when, you're me and I'm on YouTube because I have privilege. No, I'm just kidding. But when you're there and you're just like, okay, Abe Simpson, when is this going to connect to the case at hand? Like, okay, Grandpa Simpson, but
Yeah.
why are we talking about Abraham Lincoln? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Does anyone else smell burnt toast? Because I already have a hard enough time. It's a hard enough time to pay attention, to the chat and to the trial. And then he starts wandering off on some like distantly related, non-related topic. And I'm just, where are we going with this?
Yeah, that sounds like what's his face? Rittenhouse judge.
Yeah, well, that's Judge Schrader. That's the
Oh,
one. I couldn't
thought you
watch
said
another
Simpson.
trial.
I thought you said
Oh,
Simpson.
no, Simpson is hilarious.
I mean, because he can get onto tangents too, but I love Judge Simpson. He's amazing. Between
Yes.
him and I can never remember her name. The judge in Houston, the lady who she streams her whole day every day, in Houston, Texas. I can't remember what her name is.
I don't know. I have been watching a bunch of like people going to court and maybe, telling the court to do anatomically incorrect things. I don't know why that's bringing me joy here lately, but
Well, between Judge Simpson and whatever the judge is down there in Texas, they have given me a little bit of hope that the system
yes.
isn't completely corrupt and that it's supposed to be doing something different than what we see it happen in a lot of places around the country. So,
Is that
yeah.
maybe Judge Bear
Yeah,
or Boyd?
Boyd. That's who it is. Judge Boyd, yes.
Okay.
Yes. She's
I was like,
amazing.
it is sometimes hard when you haven't been paying close attention to the chat to try to figure out, okay, is this related to something we're saying or something someone else is saying? Is this relevant?
Yes, it's definitely Judge Boyd. Like, I know I'd recognize it when I saw it, but yes, Judge Boyd. She is amazing. I absolutely love watching her stuff because she is strict, but she is fair and she listens to
Oh,
people.
okay. It's Bear County and Judge
Yes.
Boyd.
Yes, Bear County, yeah. Yeah.
All right.
But
Let's
she's
get.
excellent.
We are nearly an hour and a half in, and we've gotten 10 minutes into the opening statement.
I mean, we had to talk about Pee-wee, though.
Yeah. I mean, we were tempted by the guy looking like he was straight out of a Jersey Shore wedding.
Yeah.
Or an NSYNC video. I mean, take your pick.
We'll transition then into the next chapter of this story, and you're going to hear from some of the people whose lives were forever changed by the defendant's terrible decisions that day. But I'll tell you right now, you're not going to hear from all of them. It wouldn't make sense. It's not necessary. We intend to present the evidence to you in an efficient and streamlined way. We will elicit testimony and introduce exhibits that cover every element of every single criminal charge in this case. But our goal is to avoid duplication of evidence and to avoid undue hardship on the victims and the witnesses who have already suffered so much. So the first witness in this part of the trial that you're going to hear from is Nicole White. She's the very first person, aside from Detective Casey, who was struck by the defendant on that day. She's going to tell you, as we look at this second of the three maps that we're going to repeatedly refer to, that she was marching with her coworkers and friends with Remax. You'll recognize the float, I think, in the videos, because just like the commercials for Remax, there's a giant hot air balloon that shoots fire out of the basket, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
And she's going to
I'm
tell
going
you.
to pause again because you guys are about like my age. So the mom from the Goonies, Sue Opper, she just always reminds me of the mom from the Goonies. I keep waiting for her to backhand Darrell Brookes, like they did with Chonk.
Yes.
Like, and I felt like a terrible person for a long time, but then I realized that my brain just translates people into, remember that actor from that thing? Or throw Mama from the train, because it was the same actress, because I was always like, throw Appa from the trial. Just do it for me.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
So my youngest, most feral, has a pimple, and it is a national emergency. And I told him, I made the mistake of telling him that, slam door, because of course, that I would give him a pimple patch, after my stream. Well, waiting another 30 minutes is just impossible. So,
I mean, at that age, I would have just popped it.
well, yeah, I'm surprised he already hasn't. The thing is, like, almost has its own gravitational force at this point. I'd figure it would annoy me to the point that I would do something about it. But
Yeah.
he's like, well, at first he's like, there's a black widow in our house. And I was like, do what now? Because, he just kept, he's like, look at this on my face. And I said, I think that's probably just a pimple, sweetie. And he's like, damn. Like, what? You're upset it was a pimple? You wanted to have your face melt a what?
That's
Okay.
funny.
Just,
Oh.
it's like, okay, child, all right. Again, alien children, we have them, we love them, we just do not understand
Yeah.
much of anything.
That's funny.
She was marching with her friends and her coworkers when, without any warning, she was hit from behind and knocked over. You're going to see video of that. Nicole White has a special significance in this case because, as the first person who was struck, she represents the point in time when Mr. Brookes was legally required to stop. You heard the judge read the hit and run jury instruction.
Now, this is actually for a factual reason and nothing related to 80s movies, sadly. But I do like that he, pointed out this is, because it's one thing to just look at the case and what happened in its entirety, but then to also, as a juror who's not exposed to law, try to figure out where the crime began. So I really think it's very, very intelligent and, again, shows a lot of wisdom in how they presented this case, where he's like, this is the first point he is legally obligated to stop. Like, this is one of the elements that we have to prove. So I like that he's explaining that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I think that is it's very intelligent, like, on his part. Like, I think a lot of stuff that they have done in this trial, like, again, going back to the demonstrables, like, because you have to, like, a lot of lawyers don't explain things very well. And he's
every
laying
time.
out it very, very well for them.
Well, that, but they're also, so I don't know, I don't process if you throw a lot of numbers at me or times, eh, they get written down, but they're not kind of easy for me to understand. So, like with the Karen Reed trial and, a couple of other ones where there's been a timeline involved, I have never understood why they do not provide a timeline demonstrable for the closing. I mean, if it's the state, maybe because they don't know time and it was snowing and it's Massachusetts. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it really, I think, would behoove lawyers and law schools to really kind of get lay people to come in and explain, have them do like mock trials and get kind of the perspective of how, you know, what they're saying is translating to normal people
Yeah.
versus, when you're in school. And I don't know if they do this. I am a twice college dropout. I will not be going to law school. And, you know, so they might already do this, but I think it really needs, there needs to be an understanding that some people are not going to be familiar with these sort of legal concepts
Yeah.
and what constitutes good notes to take or what to pay attention to.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I think what they did with his demonstrables while explaining it, because um something that I do in my professional life is try to make things that are very complicated easy to understand. And everybody learns differently. Some people are fine with verbal communication, but a lot of people prefer visual. And so giving them something visual to look at while you're talking will help them. And I don't think that enough lawyers do this. Like, because I know for all of us, because we're all degenerates, right? We all
Yeah.
love this stuff. So, like, we
Yes.
are starting to understand like bits and pieces of law and stuff like this, and like understanding, like, hey, I'm familiar with Rule 403 now. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, I don't know why, but I am. But it's like these things, um, but your regular person, your average juror, isn't going to understand that. So being able to explain it in such a way where it's not just verbal, but as he is explaining it very well verbally, but giving some people something to look at too. Because if not, like they may get bored and they might start wandering. Their mind might start wandering. Is like, where's this dude in the orange at? Like, you know what I mean? Having good, not just communication skills, but because I think communicating visually is also a communication skill. But the way that
Yeah.
he is doing it is very good. And again, it's one of the reasons why, like, I think that this team is one of the, like, this is the example all attorneys should look to. This is, or prosecutors should look to. This is how you need to run your show, because they did an excellent job from opening to close.
Yeah, and I do like that he took a second to really break that down and kind of get them into the thing like, okay, now, maybe they'll start paying attention when they hear like intent. Did you notice that he noticed you? Things like that. So I do like that they are kind of cluing them in on things to look at without, again, being underhanded or, kind of scuzzy about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And to summarize, in Wisconsin, anybody who's operating a motor vehicle who's involved in some kind of accident, they have a duty to stop, to investigate, to exchange information. Not only did Darrell Brookes not stop, the evidence will show that he sped up. The evidence will show that as his body count increased, so did his motive to get away. Nicole White, I think, is a good point here for me to explain to you, or to summarize for you, the charge of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Now, again, the judge read the law to you all morning and a lot of the afternoon, and she's going to read it to you again at the end of the case, and you're going to have a binder with all these instructions written down for you, so you do not need to memorize them, okay? But we're going to talk about first.
I will tell you that was the one thing I dreaded about jury duty. I was like, oh God, because then they're like, we're going to read. So we were lucky that I think ours were only like 15 pages. But
Yeah.
still, like at around 5 p.m. when severe naptosis is starting to set in, it's like, oh. And the judge had a nice soothing voice. And it was like, oh crap. Okay, I'm going to take a lot of notes because I need to stay awake.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I heard a word the other day and I was like, that is a sonorous voice.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to YSL trial. Sonorous. His deep sonorous voice.
See, I like velvet in that case. I think but that's probably not something you want to say in, court. Like he has a rich velvety voice. You're like,
Yes.
ma'am, this is not the club. He had a deep, deep bass. There you go. What you can use.
Yeah. Like
first-degree recklessly endangering safety. It's a crime where it's committed by someone who recklessly endangers the safety of another human being under circumstances that show utter disregard for human life. Let's talk about what the state's not required to prove with recklessly endangering safety. Not required to prove injury. This was a conscious decision in our charging decision. We're not going to get into medical records. We're not going to talk about the details of witnesses' injuries because it's not relevant, except to the extent that it proves that they were endangered and resulted in injury.
And I mean, think really about just the thought and kind of the care to the victims that went into that thing, because they could have charged a different charge which would have required to, prove injury. But because they used restraint, because they, pulled back a little and maybe went with a lesser charge because they knew they had him, well, terrible phrase, but dead to rights with the murder charges, they really did an excellent job of, ignoring the fact that this was going to be a media thing. They could have made this into, an emotional circus. They could have brought every witness or every victim up, kept this going for 3 months, every night could have been a campaign ad, for them. Like, we are getting this monster off the street. Look how little Sally, can't walk anymore and, is severely traumatized, just standing next to them. I mean, they could have played this so grossly.
Yeah. They definitely could have taken that road. I'm glad they didn't, but because they didn't need to. I mean,
No.
it's when you have literal video evidence of the person committing said crime, it's a little hard to deny it. I mean, so it's they didn't need to drag this out and do that kind of stuff. And I'm glad they didn't, because I mean, to be fair, even though I think the Chandler Halderson prosecution team was also excellent, I also think we're slightly ham-fisted in some of the stuff that they did. I mean, but I also understand that they were probably just trying to make sure that they were being extraordinarily thorough, but still, you probably could have cut a day or so out of that whole thing. I mean, because the defense needed what, an hour, I think. Did they even have a defense? I can't even remember now. I don't think they did.
I'm sorry, my middle daughter is trying to explain to me how she's been on vacation, but could I please pay for her haunted hayride ticket, and how the hell it is $30 damn.
What? A haunted hayride ticket is $30? Good lord.
At least from what I'm seeing, what I am okay. What time and why is it $30?
Does it come with liquor? Because if it does, you're not going, but that's not a bad deal. That's funny. Maybe it comes with
Yeah,
bags
and
of
I'm
candy.
well, yeah, and then there's so for today or for tonight, I guess starting for tonight, the ticket is $51 and I'm like,
Whoa.
but I'm realizing I'm a better mom because I would be too afraid to bring this even halfway to my mom like, "Hey, can you go ahead and buy me this ticket?" And she's gonna be like, "For what?" And okay, wait, single hayride, $31. Oh my gosh. I'm a terribly enably mom, but what?
Maybe it comes with one of those fun, because I mean it is
No,
the Midwest. One of those fun like corn mazes or something that
this is
where you wander around.
ridiculous. Oh,
There's got to be. I know. We need details of this hayride now. Like I'm curious. What
I'm
does
just
$30 get you for a hayride?
well, and you can add additional, let's see, blood and gore, uh, extra of your own hatchet to join in the fun. I'm hoping it's in well, for $15,
Wait,
it better be a real damn
hold
hatchet.
on. I have so many questions already. Wait,
It's
there's blood and gore is extra, but
no,
if
I guess
you
you can get doused in a bucket of blood for charity or I have no what I
but you get a hatchet where you can just join in on the fun
this
and
is
make your own. I mean, skip paying for it. Just get the hatchet.
and why haven't you just learned my credit card number so I don't have to remember numbers and things while I'm trying to be on a stream? Things that I have to deal with around here.
Because it's much more interesting working through this verbally.
Yeah, I think it's Hannah Haunted Acres. It's a big okay, like Disney pretty much. I have a genre.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking at this now. Okay. I can see this now. Okay.
Okay,
I can get behind this.
well, I could get behind my daughter, getting a job too.
Well, yeah. That. But this looks like the $30 may be like actually worth it. Like I'm thinking like, this is gonna be like, some farmer who has like some spare hay. He's just like, you know what? I'm gonna make some extra money this year because it's been rough, and like that's what I'm thinking. But this looks like it's an actual like
Yeah,
performance.
it's a interactive thing, but much like I look confused about well,
That would be funny.
that I will probably do one of those. But it's oh my god, the child. I would never my mom, "Hey mom, I need to go to a haunted house and I need you to pay for it." And then she said, "Oh, like I'll give you $5, but go, break the back 50." It's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things where, my daughter doesn't, isn't afraid to come to me and, that kind of thing. But also, like, could my daughter be a little afraid to come to me and ask for money?
injury, but we don't need to get into who was hit or how hard or how long they've suffered. We just are going to prove to you that their safety was endangered. So, after Nicole White, we are going to talk, you're going to hear evidence about the first of the larger groups that was affected by this incident, the Waukesha South High School Marching Band. 10 kids in that band got either hit or run over. Here's the first example of our efficient presentation of evidence. You're not going to hear from any one of them. High school aged kids, there's video showing each and every one of them getting run over. So instead, you're going to hear from their band director, Sarah Waymeyer Aparicio. She's going to come in and she's going to look at some still shots of the video. She's going to identify each of the 10 kids for you. You're then going to watch and listen to the video, and it'll be clear as day who's getting run over or hit. It'll be clear as day whose safety was endangered by Mr. Brookes that day. As we move further down the parade route, you'll hear evidence about the Burris Logistics Group. You'll hear testimony from Kelly Grabo about how she was marching with that group along with her young daughter. You'll see video of them. They're dressed up like the Who's from Whoville. You'll see them get hit. As we move further down the parade route.
I will say one thing. I did not go searching out for videos, and I am so glad that we only heard the sound, but even the sound of those videos was horrifying. And you could hear jurors, weeping, which I would be ugly crying at that point, how
Yeah.
Darrell thought he was going to be found not guilty because they have the power. If they had the power to each hold, the switch of justice on, good old Sparky, they would not help you. Thank you for being a member for 11 months.
It's enticing. Come on, y'all. There's
Okay, so
candy.
I will tell you, I usually pick we went to a winery, and it's not super bougie, it wasn't, but I was supposed to notice notes and stuff, and I'm like, okay. I mean, and then so the only one I really didn't like, and I felt bad for saying this, is one of their like testy runs, and it was raspberry espresso.
Ugh.
Now, who puts espresso with a raspberry? I need you to come to the front of the classroom. I need you to explain yourself, because this is a terrible idea.
I mean, usually like raspberry and like chocolate can go together, but I've never heard raspberry and coffee.
Yeah, it was not my cup of tea, but the thing it reminded me of, so again, you are kiddos, people of my time. It was an odd time, the late 90s, early aughts, but it was the time of that military diet. Now, as a person who has always been chronically fluffy, I decided I would go on this military diet. You are allowed to have black coffee, nothing else in it. So I, being a non-coffee drinker, was like, I'll get like raspberry coffee because then it will taste good. No, it tastes like behind and sadness and like someone wants carbs. And the whole thing behind the military diet was supposed to be like if you ate these food in combination,
Yeah.
it would somehow like make your fat scared or some kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's because of what you're eating. Yeah, like I remember hearing about that many years ago. But if you wanted to go that route, I can tell you that black caramel coffee is great every once in a
I will.
while. I can't do it every day, but I like black coffee just period, not flavored. But caramel coffee every once in a while, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no. By the time I put enough creamer and sugar packets and syrup and whipped cream, it might as well be a freaking shake from Steak and Shake. And if I'm gonna get a shake and why would I waste money on a coffee one? I don't know what I have never liked now, but I do like iced coffee, which make it make sense. I don't know.
I don't understand cold coffee. Like I don't understand. I can't stand cold coffee, but I will drink hot coffee until I get sick.
I have no idea.
That's funny. I have a cherry coffee. Interesting. Rogue has cherry for her coffee.
Ooh.
I have not heard of that. That sounds interesting. Because I do like some cherries.
I like cherry, but again, put it in a Black Forest cake and let's call it a day.
I mean, yeah, I can get down with that.
All right, we are going to finish this. We can make it 6-ish. Well, okay, maybe not 6 minutes, but we will make 5 minutes in 10 minutes.
You'll hear testimony about the Green family. They're spectators along the parade route. Charles Green is going to come in and talk about how he was there with his family. He was sitting on the southeast corner of Main and Gasper across the street from Martha Merrill's books. He'll talk about how his kids were seated on a portable bench, something that you bring to a parade to sit on, and how they got knocked off that bench when the defendant ran into them. The next point in the presentation of evidence will involve the Waukesha Blazers. I think it's important to point out you can't consider this evidence of each crime in a vacuum. You need to consider the entire incident. Because at this point, by the time we get to the Blazers, the defendant will have already hit or run over 15 people. You'll see in the video that at this point, the defendant has actually increased his speed. And you'll hear from Detective Mike Carter.
And isn't it upsetting as you get older, you can physically feel your body like cringe at the amount of sugar you just put into it?
Yes.
It's not even melted on your mouth and your body is like, oh, hell no.
It's like,
you were getting too old.
Yes.
Like, didn't we just say we were going to go to the gym and be healthy?
Yeah, that shit's for next year.
Yeah. They're like, okay, like last year when we became a triathlete by, July.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, don't you judge me. We had a hard year. And like, yeah, we didn't hit the gym hard, but we... My inner mean girl is like, she's not nice, but she is hilarious. She comes up with the great one-liners like, so we're going to try again on Monday, aren't we? It's Sunday. Hey. Shut up.
Some people's inner voice, though, isn't loud enough.
True. Sarah's inner voice has been captive.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in a Samsonite. But that's...
Yeah, believe me. Stop making snack food so good. You're setting us up for failure. Or make diet foods taste better. Make bacon flavored vegetables, please.
Bacon flavored vegetables. They have
Who really wants to eat a Brussels sprout?
They have something called bacon salt. It's a thing.
I may have to check that out. But still, taste. Okay, can we just make bacon be nutritionally equivalent to vegetables?
I mean, if you're on keto, it is.
I guess, can we just put all the vegetables we need to eat into a pill form? I mean, I haven't gotten my flying car, I haven't gotten my personal jetpack, I haven't gotten my, personal automated Rosie bot. Could we at least get all the kale and all that other arugula and crap that I'm supposed to eat, without ranch or bacon or cheese on it apparently? Um, could you just put that in a pill?
I mean, I can send you some links.
I'm just still really salty. I wanted my own jetpack, I wanted my own, Android,
Yeah.
and no.
Yeah, like, God, what was it? It was just, wasn't it? I think it was just recently. So, like, if you remember Terminator 2, the future was
Yes.
2024, and that is this year, and it's nothing like that. And then
No.
Back to the Future 2, the one where they go to the future,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
was like 4 years ago or something like that. And it's like, where's my hover skateboard?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
where are
and
all
when we
these
said
things?
hoverboards, there weren't wheels on them. We meant hoverboards, not how you broke your arm this summer.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be fair, is hilarious. But because always watching people fall will never not be funny.
My husband wanted to get one of those for the boys, and I was like, "Are you whose children do you think we have? The coordinated ones? No, we do not. You have boy children who try daily to go to the ER, and you wanna give them an instrument to make that just that much quicker."
Yeah. It's, yeah. Yeah, that is the part that I don't quite understand. But yes, I it will never not be funny though watching adults do it. And falling off their butt. They're like, "Look, kid, let me show you how it's done." And then it's like 5 seconds later, they're like going ass over head. It just
I would why I would not I don't even trust myself with a Segway. Why am I getting on the Segway smaller and
with
more
no balance,
outgoing cousin, you know?
with no handles.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even feel comfortable with the Paul Blart model. No, this is not.
Yeah.
Although I would love to get one, and just be speeding around, just leaning slightly like, oh gosh, what was that movie? WALL-E, where all the
Oh,
people
yeah.
are overly girthy. They just kinda lean to get where they need to go.
I mean, technically, isn't that literally Paul Blart? The mall cop movie.
I loved WALL-E. Although,
Yes.
could we have had a little less Barbara Streisand?
I mean,
The
yeah.
answer is yes. There are many musicals without Barbara Streisand. We could have had a different one.
Yes. I'm not a fan, so yeah. We can
Or
just
they could
remove
have
all
just
of
put
it.
her South Park form, the the Streisand bot, Streisandzilla.
Yeah.
I have been
That
watching a heck
form
of a
is
lot of.
acceptable.
Okay, we are definitely not gonna get to the end of this, but we will have actual witnesses. But this is kind of like the end allotment. I have to go make sure that someone hasn't put pimple patches all over his body, and I don't have to call poison control, which, shouldn't have
And
on speed dial.
I actually have something this week. So,
Oh, well,
um,
see.
it YouTube apparently is still running a stupid check on it. Um, but here probably in the next hour or so, for all you boonies out there, I have fixed the audio for day one and will be
Woot
publishing
woot.
that very, very soon, as soon as it's done running its check. So, yes, that will be
Oh,
published probably
no.
within the hour.
I hope she gets to feeling better, Nanya.
Oh, Jesus.
Yikes. Okay, trampolines are hella fun, but they're also, like, just they're hella fun when you're a kid because you think, like, "Okay, all 70 of me and my friends can get on here and play Pop the Popcorn," and not realize that elbows and knee bows become projectile weapons.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as everyone has their shoes off, because my mom's gonna lose it if it gets broken. Because some of you have your shoes on. All
Which
87 of us trying to basically mob jump a kid in the middle of it.
yeah. I still don't understand the whole like the no shoes on the trampoline thing. Like somebody explain that to me. Like I still don't understand that. Like because it's
You know?
literally everybody. I don't
Yeah,
get it.
and or it graduates to the, "I'm gonna see if I can do a triple backflip before I land on, my spinal cord."
Yes, on the railing.
Yes. Well, they had nets by the time I was a kiddo, so I don't know, maybe they were tired of children ending up in the ER, so they finally got the nets.
Yes, there was. I think they eventually got there, but there were not nets that I was aware of. Or maybe the parents were just like, you know what? We don't care.
It's like $10 extra for that, safety thing. I say we just get this rusty old one.
Yeah. It's like we're gonna need that $10 for the ER. So regardless of whether there's a net or not. So yeah.
Oh
Just
my
gonna skip that.
gosh. Yeah, it is all of this, and then, oh, I'm sorry. You didn't miss much. You missed a lot of black eyes, a lot of explaining to your mom that it wasn't a fight. It was totally consensual when, brothers or people came running in crying. Like, he said he would be the egg. Okay, well, we kind of voluntold him, but I mean, he couldn't. It was his fault. In my defense, he didn't run fast enough.
Yeah. Oh God.
Oh,
The good old
so I
days.
will see you guys possibly tomorrow, but usually Sundays are my catch up with family day, catch up with laundry day, catch up with cat fur day. If I win the lottery, I mean, I won't be shouting about it, but I will, in fact, have a fleet of Roombas. Like there will be signs. I'll have just a battalion of Roombas around my house.
That's funny. Oh dear.
And I'll get that first little Elon robot guy who's creepy, probably will turn on us and, order 66 us, but I'm okay with it because I won't have to do the dishes until that time.
And Mo, did you know you can get, I don't think it's an actual Roomba, but it's basically the size of a Roomba that will mow your lawn. It's just like a Roomba.
Mr. Mo he gets to have one of those, you sit on it and you use the little bar-y things to move it around.
Yeah, the zero turn things, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to take his joy away from, having his outside time.
Yeah, that going from an acre and a half to, I don't even know what it is here. I pay somebody to do it now because it's like, it's not even worth my time.
You're like, I'll just take my scissors, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. These are more kind of fun, humory streams because a lot of these trials, I mean, especially this one, are incredibly rough and hard to deal with. So it's kind of like my stabby day. Baker has his in the morning. Vale and I have ours in the afternoon. Kind of a little place for you and us to take 2 hours, attempt to stay on focus, and but address important things, but look at maybe the little lighter hearted things.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
All right, and don't forget to check out Veil Hammers as soon as it gets all done with the YouTube conflagrations. It will be up audio. You can hear Owens, which I don't know if that will be an improvement, but you can hear Owens. So do with that what you will.
True.
Bye, you guys.
See ya.